Hey YouTubers, today I'm working on my C230 and I have the driver's side window is giving problems. The switch, when I press the button to put the window down, it works just fine. It just won't go back up, and so I have my suspicions as to what might be the problem. Anyway, if you like the videos that I post, if you see a video that I post and you like it, click like. That way I'll know that I should do more videos like that and people actually like those videos. If you want to see more videos that you do like on my channel, then hit subscribe so you'll see more of my videos when I post them. Okay, so let's get into it. It's that my driver's side window doesn't go up. So what happens is I put the key on and then put the window down and it works fine. And when I hit the up, it doesn't go up. And all the rest of them work fine. I know that this is not a problem with the motor because, well, the motor doesn't know if it's spinning one way or the other. The motor doesn't know if it's spinning one way or the other, so if it'll go down, it should go up just as easily. Also, I know for a fact that it's not the motor, and it's probably a problem with the switch because if I go over to the passenger side and put the key in the door and then hold it in the lock position, the window actually goes up. So the window is capable of going up. It's just a problem with the switch. Now, let me show you guys. Now, on this, let me close. This is really cool. I like how this cup holder works. It turns into two cup holders, a big one and a small one. But anyway, so the switch is located down here, of course, and getting to it is fairly simple. There is this little bezel that goes around the shifter, and I can actually use the key to pry up on it. And then once I've pried up on it in all four corners, then it just lifts out. There's no screws holding it or anything like that. And this is true on a lot of older Mercedes, that this bezel is just held in. I'll show you guys. Alright, so there's these little tangs that stick out, these 4 of these, and they go down there in specific slots. You got to make sure you get them in the slots when you're putting it back, or else you'll bend those pieces or possibly break them, and then it won't stay as well as it used to. But once you get that off, then it's just a matter of lifting the center console off. There's nothing holding it in place. Then once we lift this out, so I lost my child safety switch. This thing, the piece broke in two, and so it came off. But anyway, this is where my switch is, and so it's located here on the back. So I need to remove this retainer and then the one on the other side so that I can get to the switch, and then I can test, and I'll probably even see exactly where it's broken once I take it apart. Now, once I disconnected everything, I took this inside and started cleaning it out. But just to give you guys an idea of how bad this is, like, you see all that gum that's down in there, and then look down in here by the rear view mirror switches, you see all of that stuff. So basically, this is one of the downsides to having these controls in the center console instead of on the armrest like they are on modern vehicles, is that if you spill soda or juice or anything on that center console, it all goes right down in there and gums everything up. So before I take this switch apart and look for anything broken in there, oh, look at this. So some of the water that I used to wash this out came out, and look at that color of that water. So yeah, it's pretty nasty. I'm gonna run this thing under some really hot water. I don't think that there are actually any ICs, any integrated circuits in here that could damage from water. So I'm gonna rinse this out really good in some nice hot water with a little bit of dish soap to get rid of all that stuff that's in there, and then I'm gonna dry it out really good, and then I'm gonna see if that solved the problem. If it didn't solve the problem, then I'm gonna take the switch off, which is this one here, and see if there are actually any parts in there that may be broken. Because what happened, this problem happened to me once before, where it wouldn't go up and then I fiddled with the switch for a while, just kept pressing it, and then I got it to work, and it worked for a couple days, and then it went out again. So I don't know, it might be broken, or it might just have a bunch of yucky gummy stuff in there, which, I mean, there is a bunch of yucky gummy stuff in there, but that might be the problem. So I'm gonna wash that out really good first and see if that solves the problem before I actually take the switch out and take it apart, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so I got everything in this bowl with a little bit of dish soap and really hot water, and I'm just kind of shaking it around and cleaning it up in there as best as I can without taking everything completely apart. And once I'm done with that, what I'm going to do is dry it out, make sure it's nice and dry, and then spray all of the components with some WD-40 before I put it back together. And what that's going to do is, since all of this is getting wet, it's going to stop it from having any kind of corrosion issues down the road. That WD-40 is really good at that, so I got to spray all inside those little holes and make sure that I get all of the components nice and soaked with WD-40. It doesn't have to be saturated, but you know, it has to have a nice little layer on there to prevent it from having any corrosion issues later on. I washed out the parts and they came out real nice. Let me get out of the sunlight so you can really see. So they came out real nice. The crud and stuff came off of there really easy. I'm guessing it was just like soda residue, sugar, stuff like that, you know. But yeah, I let it soak for about a half hour, and then I rinsed it out really good, and then now it's sitting out in the sun. And then of course these retaining clips, so these went on the back side of this, and they went like this, but they had so much crud on them. See, they just slide forward to release the whole assembly. So they're like that, and then they slide forward. Wait, no, they slide backward. So they're forward like this when you put them on the car, and then you slide them back to lock them in place. They have little tangs, metal pieces that go on. So I'll show you. But mine were so messed up. You know, they had so much stuff stuck on them that I had to put a screwdriver on it and just whack it a couple times to get it to move, because it was just gummed on there really bad. So on the back side there's these two hooks, well, these two loops that go on those two hooks right there, like so, and then the whole thing pivots forward like this into place, and then this piece goes on there, and so you can see. So once you put it in place like that and you slide it forward like that, it locks it into place, and that keeps the switches in place when it's in the car. Which I could actually put that whole assembly together right now outside of the car and then just plug everything in, but I'm leaving it apart because I'm gonna spray some WD-40 in there after I've let it dry for about an hour, and then I'm gonna try it out, see if that solved the problem. I'm ready to put this back together now. Conveniently, there are little holes in the back here where you can see the little breadboard below the switches for the windows. So I'm gonna spray some WD-40 down in that hole there on both sides, and then through these little holes here onto this breadboard on both sides, because since I did wash it out, there's probably going to be remaining moisture in there, which it didn't rust at all before, you know, when I had the soda in there, but still, as a precautionary measure, you know, that WD-40, it just removes any chances of it getting corroded and stop working. But before I do that, this is where my child safety switch is, and I don't know why that just popped apart. You know, one day I had the kids trying to put the window down, it wouldn't work, and then I went to flip the switch and I realized that it was just resting in there, so it probably was broken before I even bought the car. So I'm gonna crazy glue that back together before I spray the WD-40, because if I spray WD-40 in there and I get oil on this surface, then no kind of glue is ever gonna hold it in place. So first order of business, glue Humpty Dumpty back together again. Now all my plugs are back in there, and these plugs, they look similar but they're indexed, so you can't bugger them up. I mean, they'll only go in one way. If you're trying to fit it in and it won't work, then you're doing it the wrong way. Now also this child lock for the back windows, I tried gluing it on there. It's not gonna work. I'm just gonna have to go ahead and get a switch for that. Not a big deal. I hope it's not very expensive, but this is the moment of truth. So let's plug it in and see if I get some power windows on the front end. It didn't work. See? Nothing's happening. So we've established that it wasn't just crud down in there causing the problem, and so the switch is gonna have to come apart now. Didn't want to have to, but I'm gonna have to. I took it back all apart, and so this one here is the driver's side front, and it's really easy. It's just this little tab, these two tabs here, and then two more on the other side, and I'm going to take that off and see what's down in there. Once I took this part, well, I took the switches off at all four corners, and the switch just sits over this button, over these black buttons, and that's down, that's up. Same thing here, and then it has this big button which is an express down. It's a two-step switch, and then the same thing on the passenger side. It's a two-step, and then this one is the up. You can hear the up working fine on the passenger side, but there is probably a break in the circuitry somewhere. So I'm going to take this thing completely apart and then whip out my multimeter and see where the break in the circuitry is. Okay guys, I think I figured it out. So try to follow me here. This is going to be the best I can do with a tiny ass camera phone. So this is my switch right here, and this is the button that's not working. Now this button has common circuitry with a bunch of other buttons. So if you look here, you'll see this solder pin right here has this in common with the down button, and then the up and the down button on this switch. So the fact that the down button and this switch both work means that we know this solder is good. In fact, when I tested for power, it tested good. This solder, the top one now, this one is unique to this switch, and it goes down here through this circuitry, and it goes down and ends. Let me see if I can get this in a way that I can show you. Alright, focus. Yep, there we go. So it ends right here, and then it goes to the top side of the breadboard, and it goes around, and it comes back through right here on this pin. Now here's the thing, from here to down here, it's half a ohm. Okay, so that circuitry is good. But then when it goes through the breadboard on the top side and then it comes back through over here, it goes to 2 ohms. So what I did was I took a little piece of solder. If I could find a piece that I just had. Oh, here we go. So I took a little piece of solder and I joined those 2 pins where it went through the top side of the breadboard and came back through to the bottom side. Oh my goodness, let me see if I can do this while holding the phone and hit the switch. But basically, so it goes here, and there, and then once I do that, and I hit the switch, it actually worked. I mean, I guess I can't hold it and show you guys at all at the same time because I don't have enough hands for that, and I don't have my tripod, so I can't even do that. But trust me, it works. I just did it. So what happens is that drop in voltage means that there is corrosion between this pin and this pin. Now it's not completely open, it's not an open circuit. When I ohm it out, it just jumps from 0.3 volts up to 0.3 ohms up to 2 ohms. So when I bridge it, then it starts working again the way it should. So what I'm gonna have to do is the top side of the breadboard. Oops, dropped my phone. Top side of the breadboard, I know where it goes in and where it comes out. So it comes out of the top side of the breadboard right by this switch right here. Actually, it comes out right behind this LED. So it comes out right there where I'm pointing. And then it just kind of loops through here and then back out. And then it pops back out right here. So somewhere between here and here, there's a break in the circuitry. So what I'm gonna do is, I guess I'm gonna heat that solder up again, and I'm just gonna melt that solder and put it back together and then ohm it out and see if that cures the problem. So on the breadboards, this is where the switch starts, the circuitry starts, and then it goes down and it ends right here. Now when I measure from there to there, it comes out as 0.3 ohms, and then when I measure from there to the next point, it comes out as 1.5 mega ohms, which means that the circuitry is pretty much broken. So what I'm going to attempt to do is I guess add a little solder, heat it up, and see if maybe I can rejoin wherever the solder went bad. It's right here behind this LED is where it comes through the breadboard right here, and then it just loops under there and then comes back out, and it's right there. So I'm gonna redo this solder, redo that solder, and then on the back side I'll do the same thing, just add a little bit of soldering wire on there and heat it up and see if that cures the problem. I tried tack soldering it and that didn't work, so what I have now is this little piece of copper wire. You can't, well, my phone doesn't want to focus. Oh, there it is. So it's two strands of copper wire, and I twisted them together, and what I'm going to do is push them through the breadboard from the top to the bottom, and then add solder to it and then cut it off and see if that worked. I think that worked. Let me see if I can show you guys what happened here. So focus, come on, focus, Dammy. There we go. So this right here is where it went into the breadboard from the bottom. That's the piece of copper wire sticking out. And then on the other side here, that's where it came out the top side, and I put some solder on it and cut it short. It looks like it's sticking out, but it's not going to touch anything electrical. So now from here to where it comes out on the other side should read 0.4 ohms. 0.4 ohms. All right, so let's plug this in the car and see if it works. Okay, key is on, and oh, well, I would say that's a success. All right, the job is done. So I turn the key on, and all my windows work now. Just the way it should. I'm definitely happy with that, and my total cost out of pocket was $10. I'm into this repair, which is cheaper than getting a switch, but I still am gonna have to get that child lockout switch since that thing is broken. But you know, at least now I can put my windows up, and that was definitely worth it.